Hello Year 1 families, we're just going to be giving you a quick overview of everything your children are going to be learning in Spring 1 and Spring 2 so that you can help them with their learning at home and so that you know what they're up to when they're at school. In English, we're going to be focusing on 3 key texts: The Kindest Red, Little Red Riding Hood and The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Through these texts, we're going to be exploring writing narratives, so writing stories. We're going to be describing key characters. We're going to be continuing focusing on our sentence structure throughout this, remembering that capital letter at the start of a sentence, finger spaces and full stops. The children will be applying their phonic knowledge that they are always building on to make their spelling slightly more accurate, but still focusing on spelling phonetically using those known sounds. It is always great if you can read with your children at home. We try and change their books on a Thursday or a Friday, depending which class you're in. So if they could be in their bag every day, that makes it so much easier for us to change their book when it is time.
Okay, and in maths across the 2 half terms, we are going to be looking at place value. We are going to be working to start with numbers to 20 and then aiming to get to 50. It would be great if at home you could try and partition the numbers with your children. So for example, 20 would be 2 tens, so 25, 2 tens and a 5, just to get the children familiar with those sorts of terms and how to add those numbers that way. We're also going to be looking at width and length, and also we'll be moving on to mass and volume in maths.
In history, we are focusing on 2 topics this term, starting with childhood, learning about childhood in the 1950s, and as part of this we will be going to the Black Country Museum at the end of January. We will also be learning about school days and how school has changed throughout history, and we're sure the children will really enjoy consolidating this learning on their trip to the museum. In geography, our topic is Our Wonderful World and Bright Lights Big City. So we're going to continue exploring the world around us, thinking about geographical features. We're going to be thinking about the countries in the United Kingdom and continuing learning about different geographical features across the country.
In art, we are looking at colours, mainly to do with paint and mixed media. So the children have already looked at their primary and secondary colours, and now we're experimenting with different shades of colour, how we can mix them to our own shades and experience how we can use different textures, different materials to make those colours as well. In DT, we're looking at a project called Taxi. This is where the children will be learning about wheels, axles and chassis and how they can be put together to make a vehicle move. So hopefully by the end of the topic we will have made some sort of project so the children can actually see visually how this happens.
In music, our first topic is called Sounds of the World, the Antarctic, and we're going to be thinking about how feelings and emotions are shown throughout music and using musical language to describe the way the music sounds. We are also doing a unit called Contrasts in Music in the Sea and thinking about how pitch and tempo and different dynamics change in a song to make a story or portray a particular feeling.
Our science lessons, we have already started looking at seasonal changes, which is really exciting. Obviously the snow that we've recently had has been great for our winter topic. The children are understanding about night and day and how the seasons vary in length in the UK and both in other countries, and they'll also be looking at the weather and how that changes and the events that we experience as well during the different seasons. We will then be moving on to animal parts. So this is where we'll be looking at fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals and invertebrates. They're going to be able to identify the common structures, their diet, so what they eat and how we care for them.
In RE, we are continuing learning about where people look for in guidance in life. In RE, we don't just explore religious opinions, we also explore opinions of people that are not religious and how they contrast. We think about where people might look for guidance in all different areas of their life. So for religious people, it might be their sacred texts. In school, we have our rules, and the children are beginning to form their own opinions on that too. In computing, we are going to be learning about moving a robot, and we're going to be exploring early programming concepts. We're going to be thinking about the commands for a robot and beginning to predict outcomes, thinking about algorithms and the stages within them. We are then going to move on to grouping data and thinking about how we can use computing and technology to present data and also have a look at different programs that we can use for this.
We're in our PE lessons, so we still have 2 lessons a week, one with our PE specialist Miss Davis and then the next with class teachers. So Miss Davis will be teaching the children ball skills in their PE lessons, so they'll be getting to know how to apply their knowledge of where we send balls, why we score points when we beat opponents, how we pass them, overarm, underarm, that sort of thing. In the teacher taught lessons, we will be doing gymnastics, so the children will be exploring their own movements, their balances both on the floor and standing up. They will also be moving on to apparatus, so they can make a sequence of movements and hopefully develop a nice simple sequence as well.
And finally, in Spanish, we are learning our colours and numbers, which is a great building block for later on in school when they start doing even more Spanish in Key Stage 2. It will make the children familiar with some key words in Spanish with those colours and numbers.
Thank you for listening. If you do need any support or extra information, please feel free to always message us on Cecil or grab us on the door. We're always happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.